Okay, so good morning, listeners and viewers of MAC TV. I'm Mr. Wele, and today I'm going to present you a lesson about obligation, lack of obligation, and necessity. Okay? So, now let us look at the board. First we have must, we have to, we have mustn't, and we have don't have to. Now we're going to start. Number one is must. So, must expresses an obligation. Now, in order to explain obligation, okay, we are going to take the example of the coronavirus context, okay? Now, what are the obligations in the coronavirus context, okay? So, in order to protect yourself, you must wash your hands, okay? You must wash your hands with a sanitizer or soap, okay? So, it's an obligation. So, we are going to take this example. You must wash your hands in order to protect yourself against the virus. Donc, c'est une obligation que de se laver les mains pour se protéger du virus, okay? Now, the second obligation is you must stay at home at night, because in Senegal, you know that we have the curfew, okay? So, at 8 p.m. at night, you must stay at home, okay? This is also another obligation. You must stay at home at 8 p.m. Okay, because we have the curfew. Okay, the other obligation is you have to wear a mask. Okay, everybody is wearing a mask. It's an obligation. You must wear it. Okay, now. The number two is now have to. Have to is a synonym of must, okay? It expresses also an obligation, okay? For example, they say in this epidemic, you have to wash your hands, you have to wear a mask, okay? Now, must and have to are synonyms, okay? But there is a little difference. Il y a une petite différence. Quand on parle de must, l'obligation est interne. Ça ne concerne que toi qui parles. Mais quand on parle de have to, l'obligation est générale. Par exemple, s'il y a une loi ou bien s'il y a un décret qui interdit quelque chose, donc ça, c'est au-dessus de tout le monde. Okay? Donc, on va utiliser have to. Par exemple, the emergency, the curfew, okay? The president said that, okay, people have to stay at home at night, okay? It will be a general obligation, okay? Now, the curfew in the curfew, people have to stay at home. Okay? So this is an obligation. So must and have to express an obligation. The only difference is have to is a general obligation, but must is a personal obligation. For example, in this situation of coronavirus, if you go out and you come back home, you can say, I must wash my hands, because it's you. Okay, it does not concern the people who were at home. Ça ne concerne pas les gens qui ne sont pas sortis dans ta maison, mais ça te concerne toi personnellement. Tu vas dire, I must wash my hands. Okay? Now let's move now to the number 3, which is mustn't. Mustn't expresses a prohibition. Prohibition en français, c'est une interdiction. Interdiction. Okay? Mustn't. Okay? Now, in this context of coronavirus, there are some prohibition. Okay? For example, you mustn't be in a crowd of people. Okay? A large group of people. On ne peut pas être dans une foule, c'est interdit. Okay? Les rassemblements sont interdits. You mustn't be, okay, in a crowd. You mustn't be in a crowd of people. You mustn't be in a crowd. Okay? It's forbidden. Okay? In order to protect yourself, you mustn't be in a crowd. Okay? The other obligation, the other prohibition is also at night there is a curfew. Okay? Il y a le couvre-feu. Okay? Il est interdit de sortir. Okay? You mustn't go out after 8. You mustn't go out after 8 p.m. at night, because of the curfew. Okay? So, there are also other prohibitions, like you mustn't shake hands, okay, with people, okay? You mustn't shake hands with people because you can be contaminated, okay? Now, then the final one is don't have to, all right? Don't have to. Now, don't have to expresses a choice. A choice, c'est un choix, ou bien a lack of obligation. Absence d'obligation, lack of obligation. Right? Now here, don't have to. It's a choice, okay? It's not an obligation, it's not a prohibition, but it's a choice. C'est un choix. Tu es libre de le faire, ou bien libre de ne pas le faire, okay? Now, for example, when you live in your apartment, you are alone, okay? Tu es seul. You don't have to wear a mask, okay? Because there is no risk to contaminate other people. So, it's a choice, okay? You don't have to wear a mask, okay, when you live alone in your apartment, okay? When you are alone in your apartment, you don't have to wear a mask. So there is no obligation for you. It's a choice, okay? You can do it or you can choose not to do it, all right? Now, another example of don't have to is in the context of the coronavirus, for example, is using the thermoflash, okay? Some people are nervous and they are afraid, so if they have a thermoflash, they use it every 2 minutes or every 5 minutes, okay? À chaque fois, ils utilisent le thermoflash pour tester. But doctors, they say that it's not necessary, okay? You wait until you have the symptoms and you do your test, so you don't have to do that, okay? So, if we recapitulate, we can say must is an obligation, have to is also an obligation, but the difference is that must is a personal obligation and have to is a general obligation, right? Mustn't is a prohibition, une interdiction en français. Don't have to is a choice, meaning that you have the choice, tu as le choix, okay? It's a lack of obligation. Now we are going to finish with this exercise, okay? Complete this conversation between a doctor and a patient using must, have to, mustn't, don't have to, okay? Patient: hello doctor, I have got a fever and a headache and I cough. Doctor: you have the coronavirus symptoms. You call the emergency number. Okay, do I wear a mask? Sure, you wear it to protect other people. Is it necessary to wear gloves? No, doctors have the equipment, okay? Now, I give you some seconds to look at it. So you can pause. When you watch the video, you pause, you do it, and then I will give you the correction, right? Now I'm going to correct it now. Hello doctor, I have got a fever and a headache and I cough. You have the coronavirus symptoms. So in the coronavirus symptoms, if you have the symptoms, you mustn't go out, because if you go out, you can contaminate people. So we are going to put here mustn't. Mustn't move. Call the emergency number, just the call, okay? Patient: okay, do wear a mask, okay? Here he is asking if it is an obligation, okay, to wear a mask, all right? So when we talk about obligation, it's a have to. Do I have to wear a mask? Sure, of course, yes, sir. It's an obligation. You must. No, you have to wear a mask because it's a general obligation. You have to wear a mask to protect other people, okay? You have to wear it, all right? Now the last question is it necessary to wear gloves? Okay, and the doctor says, no, you don't have to, okay? So here you are going to write, don't have to, okay? Because it's not an obligation because the doctors have their equipments and they can help you, all right? So all in all, this is the lesson for today, and it was about must and mustn't. Now thank you very much for your attention and see you for the next session. Goodbye.